Where am I? You'd give them now. The truth is, we got it to Masnisin, which is approximately 5 or 6 lines past the Gemara, past the beginning of the Gemara. But I want to go back to Rabbi Yami, which is 3 lines on top of that, which is approximately 3 or 4 lines into the Gemara. Do you have that on your Gimel now? Rabbi Yami Hore? 7 lines down. Rabbi Yami Hore b'kfar Shemi, b'kfar Shammai. Rabbi Yami paskin kfar Shammai lasus isa g'doyla betuma. If you have a large dough, just make them with betuma. Don't bother separating it into little batches. V'lo ein sham arba milin. Says the Gemara. Wait a minute. But there, to get to a place where you can make the dough b'tara, in kfar Shammai they're all tamei, let's say, but within 4 amos, 4 meal walk, there was a place where you can make the dough b'tara. Why didn't he make you go there? Says more, Mikevin the Nara Mafsik, since there was a river in between the next town where they could do b'tara and Kfar Shammai, so therefore Kamishi Sham Arbos meals, as if there was 4 meal. Now, Masnisi, this brisa, there's an amazing thing the Lev Yerushalmi explains. It says there was no brisa. Statement Rabbi Yami is called Masnisa. The statement she says that the Derech Yerushalmi is, I don't remember ever having this before, says Derech Yerushalmi is that wherever you have a statement by a significant Amora, it's called Masnisa.
We often made all these significant statements.
And we never call them Masnisa, right? But that's what he says here it is, that this Masnisa is going back to the statement Rabbi Yami. And Rabbi Lichor says seems a Rabbi, so I don't know if it's a Derech all over, but at least that's how it explains it here. And Masnisa to Rabbi Akiva, the same Rabbi Yami, who say allowed to betumas like Rabbi Akiva. The Rabbi Akiva, Amar Akiva said, Rabbi Shia said a betuma, that if you have a large dough, you don't split it into little batches because you don't want to lose the bracha on taking the mitzvah challah, but rather you make it all in one large batch. You said a betuma, you make it one large batch. Vaya said a copy. Don't make it to multiple small batches. Says, well, you know what? It can even go like Rabbana. And even though Rabbanan hold that sometimes you divide up the dough, that's, however, Isa Gedoyla, a large dough, Haisa Noach Lo, it would even be preferable to him, Hayalo Lahalon, meaning here to walk, Kama, several miles, V'lola So Kabin, and not to make it into small batches. But since it's a large dough, it's a tremendous tircha to make it in small batches. So actually, he'd rather walk the 4 meal and cross the river in order to not make it in small batches. So therefore, Rabbi Yami was saying, well, you don't have to walk that far, nor for that matter, do you have to make it in small batches. Even Rabbanan would say normally you should make it in small batches to avoid being chayiv and challah. And taking the challah betuma, that's only if it's an average sized dough, but not if it's a large sized dough. Okay? The challah she talks to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva switches opinion. There it said, elsewhere Rabbi Akiva said that even if you took from a kav, which is 1/5 of the regular measure of would normally require for challah, if you took it in challah, it is challah. Here it seems to indicate that it's not challah. It says when a tam l'shavar there it's b'diavad, meaning if you took challah, even off a small amount of dough, even off a kav of dough, b'diavad it's valid challah. Here we're talking about whether he should do it and whether he has to do it. He should not do it. He doesn't have to do it. If he did it, it is a valid transaction, and whatever he took off is the challah. Rabbi Yoina, Rabbi Chia, b'shem Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Amishim, Rabbi Yochanan said, now this is really going back on our Mishnah. It's a problem when you don't have the Kabanoki throws in all the headers. But here you don't have headers. Really there should be a header here before Rabbi Yoina. So way back on our Mishnah that we said that in order to be Mechayev, the various different batches, they all not just enough that they touch each other, but rather also they have to bite each other. In other words, they have to cling together. And that Rabbi Yoina, Rabbi Chia, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Am, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Veim Shenoshchu, they have to cling together. Is tani tani asal mitzaref ein atanu mitzaref. There's some who say that when the challahs are put together, or the doughs are put together the challahs are put together in a basket, that the basket joins together to be one in terms of the shiur of challah. But not if they're all baked in the oven at the same time, that's not enough of a tziruf. These tani, there are those who learned the opposite, that atana mitzaref, oven and baked together in the oven does join them together, not being placed in the same basket afterwards. Rabbi Yochanan said, Isi say, I brought this down. In other words, I learned this from the statement of Chilfoi, who was Ilfa in the Bavli. Noshchu, if they bit together, in other words, they clung together, then they're joined together, whether they're in the basket or they're in the oven. Lo noshchu, if they didn't cling together, they're not considered to be joined together to make a shiur, neither in the oven nor in the basket.
It would seem that they cling together better if they bake in the oven. Just put them in a basket. They're not going to cling together. They're going to touch each other.
Could be.
The dough is going to intermingle.
Could be. The thing is that's what the Gemara says. Masnisa, our bright says, Kagon Elaine rifta the bava. Where does it join together the basket? By the soft and the long Babylonian bread. It's like, it's very soft pita. So if you even have to take it to the oven, you put it into the basket, it starts clinging to each other because of the nature of how it's made. Right. Okay? It's warm and malleable. Hello, Gimel. Let's say you took up challah before you made the dough. It was still just flour. And you gave it to a Kohen. Ain't a challah, it's not challah. The gezbi a Kohen, it's stepped in the hands of the Kohen. I mean, the Kohen, it doesn't belong to the Kohen. It's really not supposed to be able to keep it. You should give it back. What?
Why is it worse than just regular matana? Why is it worse than a regular matana?
Now, if the Bailam knows that he's giving it to him despite the fact that he's not mechuyev, it's okay, but the Bailam might be on the impression he's giving it to him as a chiyuv.
And then he won't give it to him.
And then now that there will be another kill which Shamar brings out. Right, he won't give the proper later on. Right. The dough, which the Kohen just got illicitly, right? If that dough is large enough to in and of itself as a shiur, and it's forbidden for non-kohen to eat, despite the fact that it's not challah. Right, we just said it's ketzel v'yad kohen, it's not challah. Nonetheless, he made a takana. When somebody erred and gave the kohen a flour, he shouldn't give it to anybody else to eat, lest people think that challah itself is mutter and the nachila for non-kohanim. Di Rabbi Yoshua, right? That's according to Rabbi Yoshua. Armalo, so he says Rabbi Yoshua, it's not true. Maisa happened when they gave by mistake flour to a kohen. The cups zaken zor echad, a certain old elder Yisrael came and grabbed it and ate it. So we see it's mutter. Armalan, so he said to him, no. Hafu kil kelatzmo. He ruined himself. He transgressed the Isser. What he did do was tikkun la'achir. He rectified it to other people because other people realized that the transaction was null and void, and that they therefore needed to take off truma, to take off challah again. So his eating at least benefited everybody, that they should know that they have to give challah over again when it's full dough, and it's not sufficient. It was given when it was still flour. Okay. We don't know. We don't know for sure. It's just a hypothesis. If you have 5/4 of dough, of some flour in the dough, and this is 43 1/5 beitza, so they, and when we gauge the size of the mixture, we use they, usoran, and the sourdough, the suban, and the bran, and we saw it on the coarse husks, Chamisha Revayim, all these joined together to make the 5 fourths, which are Chayam and Shechayim and Challah. Nito Musarim B'Tochen, one of you took out the bran. The Chazatochen, then you reintroduced it. And now it's only 5 fourths together with the bran. Arei Lupturim. So it's not Chayim and Challah. Why? Because originally where the bran was part and parcel of it. But once the bran part was removed, so to reintroduce it is an artificial thing. So therefore that cannot make a Chayim and Challah once more, even if you restored it to original proportions. Shiur Challah. What's the shiur which is supposed to give a Challah to a Kohen? Echel v'yasribar 1/24. Hosa isa latzo. That's what you're making a dough for yourself. Vosa mishta beno, or the woman's making for her husband. Vosa mishta beno, but somebody's making for their child's marriage. So echel v'yasribar, it's 1/24. Nachtam shoytz l'mukar b'shuk. A baker is making to sell in the marketplace. V'chein ha'isha she'osa l'mukar b'shuk. So to a private woman is making in order to sell in the marketplace. So echel me'arbaim shmona, then you only have to give 1/48, not 1/24. Need meitzi sasa shogis on SS. If her dough became tamei unintentionally, then echel me'arbaim shmona, she pays 1/48 from somewhere else. Neat mace bezida, if she made her dough tamei intentionally, then we sock it to her. We say echad be'esim b'arba 1/24. That by sitting, they shouldn't get the advantage. They should get the advantage of 1/48. Rabbi Lezer Omer, nitelas mina Torah tamei. You would take this challah from Torah and tamei. Ketzad also, Isa Torah of Isa Tmeya. If you have a dough which is Torah and a dough which is Tamei, Noto Kedei Chalam Isa Shlo Horma Chalasan, you take a little, the amount which is sufficient for challah for both, from the dough, which is not yet didn't yet have the challah removed. But no supposedly kibetza bemtza. And when you put less of the kibetza between the two, today she told me namukov, in order the challah should be in the same location. The case is like this. You have this dough. This dough is tummy. And this dough is tar. How am I going to take off from this on this if they're not connected? Which I want to do so I can give it to the Kohen.
Each one has its own shiur. It's 5/4.
Let's say, for argument's sake. So the way I do it is I put here. A dough less than kibetza, and it connects the two, but it can't transmit tuma, because less kibetza is not mitame tuma sochel. So this is not going to transmit tuma to this, and I can still take this off as truma, and it's mina mukaf. It's all considered to be one location. Is that clear? You got it? Okay. So that's what he's saying. Rabbi Lezer man, he tells me the Torah Tamei Ketzad. I went back to the Gemara Mishnah a couple lines. Isa Torah, you have a dough which is Torah, Isa Tamei and a dough which is Tamei. Noto Kedei Challah, take the shiur which is necessary for Challah. Isa Shelo or Merchalasa, find the stuff which is not yet tight, with that's the Torah stuff. But no, say Paul's you can bait some ants, you put less of the baits in the middle. Kedei Shito Minamukam in order to make it one big pile. Chachamim say this is forbidden. Why? Because Chachamim are afraid maybe there be overlap, and this will actually touch that, and that'll make it tamei. So that we don't want to risk that, run that risk.
This is a separate source. This debate less than debates.
It's a conduit. It's a semiconductor.
No, but I mean, where did you get this little piece of dough from? You didn't get it from here.
Yeah. Yeah, but you started to connect it's no longer attached. Okay? Armland. Now, the Gemara says, first he changes the Girsa. No, he doesn't, not here. Further. Armland, so he said to them, what, said in our Mishnah, that, Rabbi Yeshua said that this Zar who grabbed the challah, which was given from the flour itself, was makalka for himself, ruined for himself, and tikain la'acher, and fixed it up for other people. So Asmar Amalen, Avu kilkelat, so tikain la'acherim. He was a makalka for himself, and he was a misakin for others. It was a kasha. No, it's not like. In this case, it's no.
He corrected it for others because they learned from his.
Yeah, so it's not a kasha. It's not a kasha, right? That's the header. Yeah, no, so this is an explanation, not a question. Kilkalatza, he learned for himself. Dachla ate it. V'yisanich, he got zapped. Poof! Got killed, or whatever happened to him. But thinking he rectified for others. Because they would eat, and it should be Dino Achlim is Sukkani, not Vitolivei. They would eat now stuff which is rectified because they'd be afraid to get killed. Okay? Or whatever happened to him, I don't know exactly. East Tani, there's some who learn Tikkun Lat, so he fixed stuff up for himself, because Achim learned stuff for others. How so? The exact answer we just now learned. Tikkun Lat, so he got a meal. He ruined it for others, because they would cut to conclusion by watching him Shu Potter, that this is exempt from Challah. It's not true. You tried to use it to give Challah, but it didn't work. You have to say that it's Potter. Now that's the version of the Gemara, but the Gra changed it to Sarvin Dina Sarvin Meimar Shi Muteres. Because other people think it's mutter to eat the stuff, because after all it was tight, the challah was taken before it became dough. But the truth is he chayeves. There are certain conditions under which you're going to be chayev for this as well, right? Because we said that if you take it off too early, but you have it, it's a good separation. So therefore, people think it's mutter, but it turns out to be osir. Rabbi Ami b'shem Rabbi Yanai said, Kav the Variane, the Tiberian Kav, which obviously is very large, b'chai b'chala, it's chai b'chala. Chad Chalita, a certain baker, Shol Rabbi Yochanan. He asked Rabbi Yochanan, how can you get out of the midst of challah? Omar, so he said, Rabbi Yochanan said, Ezel Avad Arba, go make a dough out of 4 forts, which is not big enough, and after that, divide it in half. Ask the Gemara, let him say to make a dough of a third and then cut it up, right? Rabbi Zir said, Kabaya Basleon Rova. I forgot exactly what I'm reading here. 1 second. Dough. Got it. Rabbi Zir, Kabayu Basleon Ruvaya. In their neck of the woods, they used to talk about groups of 4 in their kavs. About Rova Kav. So and so on and so forth. Chatzia Kav, Rova Kav. So therefore, since that's the case, V'yomer lo, where am I? V'yomer lo chamisha pachot sivcha. Wait.
So maybe he said, so I'm going to take this.
Yeah, I made a mistake, but I got confused. All right, we see a kabaya ba'asrein, Ravai is the renun. The reason I mentioned 4 is because that's the way they used to plant some of those days. So I mentioned 4, it said split it. Now that's more another question. para tzivchar. You have para, right? Para is like a less. Let him say you can go all the way up to 5/4 as long as you leave a little machu over, as long as you don't do the whole thing, right? Because ultimately, what's the bottom line here? That
That's why he doesn't make a mudar.
that you shouldn't come to a chiv of challah. So just make sure it doesn't get to 5/4. Look at the chiv of challah. What's one more than that? Why do you divide it in two? Says the Gemara, Shlo Yavli Dei Safi Chiv Challah. We don't want to take a chance on you. Okay? Now, new Gemara. Now we should again have a header. And this is going on, it says in the Mishnah that the Subin and Mersani, the bran and the chaff, joins to make up the shiur of the Kazayas. That's only if it's a normal way of mixing this dough, not if they're introducing unnatural amounts of cement and so on and so forth. Okay? So, what?
Two people produce a chod, one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, but 1 second. What did I say about that? How do I translate that? It's only if it's a normal.
Putting in the normal amount of bran and chaff.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Right. Okay. Normal bran and chaff. That's going to have enough kamina, which the Gemara isn't yet made clear. We'll see in a minute what it's going to be, the nafkamina. Amrei Shimon Lakish, Shimon Lakish said, Shimon Gamliel, L'chor Amish like Shimon Gamliel. The Shimon Gamliel says, Lo Menacheves K'bid Challah, you're not chayiv in Challah, Ad Sheyebo Dogon Kashir, until it has the proper shiur of grain, not including chaff. So, what's he going on? He's talking about the end of our mission. The end of the mission says that if you took out the chaff, you can't put it back in. If it's still in there, you can use it to make up your shiur. Once you took it out, you can't put it back in. You can't say, well, this is the amount of chaff which was there, X parts per million, I can put it back. You can't do that. Okay? Once it's gone, it's gone. Now, says Gemara, again, Shimon Lakish who the Shigamiu, the Shigamiu Merlo Menechev Schad Sheva Dogan Kashir. Talmidei, no, Talmidei Rabbi Chia Ruba, the students of Rabbi Chia the Great who were Balulisa, B'Shem Rabbi Shimon Levi said, Divra Koli, even according to Rabbanan we say this is true. Why even according to Rabbanan? Because once you took it out, you took it out. You can't when it's there, you can reuse it. But you can't reintroduce it once you took it out. Is that clear? Why not? Because that's, there's a certain understood level of arbitrariness. But that's only if you haven't started clarifying it. You started taking them out, then we make you tell to take them all out. Am I making myself clear?
Apparently the recipe calls for all the components to be in at one time.
Right.
If you take it out, there's no longer that recipe.
That's right. But the thing is, just to tell you about specifically about the bran and the chaff, right? It says, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, it says derech isa. It's only when it's derech to put that amount back, which it's not derech at all. Okay, that's what Gemara says here. Again, Rabbi Mona. Ramana said, Avagav the law Amar. Instead of, it should be Rabbi Yochanan. Avagav lo Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hade Milsa, Amar Kavasoi, he says something similar. The Amar Derech Isa Shanu. It's a normal fashion. Normal fashion means nothing put in and nothing removed. The Kam became a Chota Mursana Chaza Taicha, since you took out the chaff, or the bran actually, and put it back in. Ain't it derech yisa? It's not the normal fashion, and therefore it's not proper in terms of what? Challah, right? You need to have the whole shiur of grain, not including any type of chaff or anything else in terms of establishing the shiur for challah.
Even as a recipe. I mean, the recipe.
Yeah, but again, it's not 100% comparable because before you start, you're allowed to have some bran. So then once you start removing them, that you lose the right to have any bran there. Is that
Because
clear?
the recipe says you can't, once you take it out, you can't put it back.
Okay, well that's a complicated recipe.
It ruins the dough.
Okay,
It doesn't
fine.
rise anymore.
Fine. Says the Gemara, Tanya Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, "Mivnei ma omru bala bayis echad mitzvim v'arba." But why is the bala bayis have to give 1/24 for chalav and achtom echad me'arboim mishmona, and the baker gives 1/48? Why difference? Ela shanachtom. Now here's a lot of gears of changes. Shanachtom, the baker ain't no raw. He's got to draw on this die. Not to draw on this die because he's a lousy, fink, but because he needs to make a profit. Bottom line. So therefore, we have to give him we have to be lenient with him. I require him only to give a minimum amount of chal, which is we give him the share of 148, as opposed to 1/24. Okay? Says more, El Shanachtam Eno Ra Bisaso. Right? Means he's out to make a buck. Whereas the Baal Bayis, it should be Yafa Bisaso. He takes pride and he's slower and he's not going to have to, Right. So therefore, you can make him take 1/24. The it's not the reason, not the logic. Ella, rather, now here's the completely different pasuk he brings down here from the Achronim. It says, Titnu Hashem Truma, give to God Truma. It's got to have enough to give a gift to the Kohanim. And so they enough to give to Kohanim is 1/24. Otherwise, it's not choshev. Ella, but do you see where the I skipped a line. It's hard for me to describe. Skip from the Satem to Pekuna so. Because that he brings out another pasuk. Ella, however, Shanachtom, he saw some ruba, since the baker makes a lot of dough anyway, so 1/48 is already a choshva thing by him, because he makes so much dough, right? So as opposed to Baal Bayis, he saw some water, only has very little secure dough, therefore they had to increase the amount to 1/24, right? They book they matzah coins, so they had to heighten the obligation. But ask the Gemara, I don't understand. Then we learn so he makes a dough for himself. Vosa Mishum knows how he makes a party for his son. Echad me'esrim va'arba. Then the shear is 1/24. So tachluk isas Baal Bayis. No, not distinguished between the wages people get.
Whatever, it's the same way either way.
I feel I'm reading this one.
Now, A owes B money, right?
Yeah, Shlo Tachlok is the answer.
We'll say this here.
That's I read wrong. Let me go back a line again. But the idea we learn, so what do we see?
A owes B money. Hold on. A, B owes B. A's the money, whatever it is, okay? In other words, B owes A money, whatever. B owes A money, okay?
I'm sorry. This is talking about a... Oh, well.
So A claims...
Not the same as Baal Bayis.
Yeah, because Mishnah has a lot of bread. You're making a lot of bread. So it's made a lot of bread, so the shish goes down to 1/48.
He's not in the he's in the
Yeah, but if you're saying the whole logic is based on what the coin's getting, he'll get something choshev, even if it's 1/48 from a large party. That's what I'm saying, right? It's a wedding. 600 people. So says the Gemara, Shalotachlu is the Baal Bayis. We didn't want to make distinctions. Once it said the dough of Baal Bayis is the 24th, we kept it at 24th. But now we're going to ask Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said that it's the Baal Bayis pays 1/24 and the baker 1/48. Then we learn a woman who's making something in order to sell at the marketplace. Echad. She's making grain, dough. Sorry. She's making a dough to sell in the marketplace. What it says in Mission 148. Why is that only 148? Why should it not 1/24? She's a Baal Buster. She should always pay 1/24. You just have not differentiate in Baal Batin. So it says the Gemara, I'll tell you what the difference is. She's a different woman depending on how she makes for. She's Mr. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When she makes for her own house, Eina Yafe Bisasa it should be. That she gives them magnanimous portions. When she makes when she makes it on the marketplace, Eina Ra Bisasa. She gives much less. So therefore, when she's making for her own house, the shear is 1/24. She's making for the road, the shear is 1/48. Okay? Amar Rai Masnisa Misa said.
B says to A-U only. So A-O. Right? A-O.
Yeah. Amar Rebbe. Rebbe said, Masnisa, our Mishnah. Okay, the Yerushalmi explains. Our Mishnah is talking about a case where when it's Tameh, a woman is still allowed to take 1/48. Okay, but only that. When she used to take 48. Wait a second. He turns the gears a couple times here.
All I know is just like this. If I owe you money, I'm not gonna be able to.
Okay, got it. Again,
I can't owe you money.
What am I?
Because otherwise, if I owe it to you, you would have never left me the money.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. All right, Rebbe said, my precious, now it should be Echad Miyasim Barba. But you know he gives 1/24. My precious Echad Miyasim she normally gives 1/48. Again, changing the gear, so then Nisnei Kadei Shlo Yechoti Niskar. Then what do we say here? We say that oh boy. Yeah, well, before it's probably babbling incoherently. It happens. No, I was right then. No, I was right. Now I'm babbling. We're going to look at the Mishnah again. The Mishnah said, where is it? Yeah, it's Nid Mesi Sasa. Do you see Nid Mesi Sasa? Little test there. So it is about Tomei. Nid Mesi Sasa Shogegas Anusa. Her dough became Tomei. Unintentionally, in some way, shape, or form. We let her get up to with 1/48. Nid Mesi Mezida. If she made her dough Tomei intentionally, we sock it to her 1/34. Kadesh lo yechot niskar. In order that we shouldn't get what's the word? Profit. Okay. So says the Gemara again. Amar Rabbi, Masnisa is blimuda lios my precious echad. Me'asim v'arba. She normally takes off 1/24. That's her normal derech. I know it changes gears, right? So then, that's what our mission says. Avolimudo lios mafreshes echad mei arboim v'shmona. But if she normally takes off 1/48, right? So in that case, if he became Tomei, they weren't makel upon her. She normally takes off 1/48. Nisne kadesh lo ye'achot in this car. Nisne means let's make her give a 24th in order to make sure that she doesn't profit.
B is saying
It's still not clear.
B lent A, right? So A is timing. I couldn't have lent me money because you owe me money.
Normally she takes off 148.
Right. How you wouldn't have lent me
Yeah.
money because you would never have lent me money because I owe you money.
Oh yeah, I see now. Yerushalmi explains it. I forgot. Okay, normally she takes a 1/48. Now got Tomei b'shogeg go bonus. So what would you have to expect her to have to give?
That's what B right?
Yeah. So he says she's a fink
And so
because she normally should be taking off 1/24.
is like this.
She's always chayte. She should always be taking off 1/24. Who gave permission to only take off 1/48? So therefore now we sock it to and we make her take off 1/24 even if it was b'shogeg. Even though it was nitma b'shogeg. And normally we say when you b'shogeg you take off 1/48, not this woman. Because this woman we were out to teach a lesson. Because she normally should be taking off 1/24. And she's always taking off 1/48. That's why we make her take off now. Even Kabbalah b'shogeg 1/24. So the Levi Yerushalmi asked the kasha. He says, he brings out the achronim, asks the question, near and every other achronim. They ask her, she's not listening to us any other time. Why is she going to listen to us now? She's always taking 1/48. All right, so they leave that shver. Okay, says more further. Vena bais mitzdarif. Now, this is there should be a header here. There is no header. It's going on the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that in order to be mitzdarif, the breads have to be connected together. They have to be literally binding each other. Now it's a Askamar. Vena bais mitzdarif. Just the fact that they're on the same roof should be sufficient. Why need more than they're on the same roof? So it says more davashu makbi ataroiv. So tell you something where you makbi not to be ma'ariv them ain't a bais mitzdarif. Here you don't want them to be daf mitzdarif. Why don't you want to be mitzdarif? No, because one is tummy and one is tar. One is tummy and one is tar. Remember I drew you the picture? So why don't I just say the house is mitzdarif then? Because they don't want that to be mitzdarif. Why? Because one is tummy and one is tar, and it's going to be mitame, my Torah one. So the only way it's mitzdarif then is by physically joining together. The house is not mitzdarif then. Because the Gemara, it does. Look, says because v'shei makri atarov v'so. Because saying when you don't mind if things are together, tak it. Abayis mitzdarif. The house joins them together. The same roof. Absolutely not. But that's what he says. He brings down though no, seriously, he brings down, we had something like this. He says that we had in Trumos. Our Mukab is considered in the same house. Yeah. I mean, we forgot, but it is in Yerushalmi Trumos Perek Beis Allah. Okay? So it says more, Isa Tmeya, top of Yudam base, right? Isa Tmeya, Isa Torah. If you have Isa Torah, and this is just expounding on the topic, if you have one dough which is Torah and one dough which is Torah, also G'dav Shumakri Atarovto. Also, it doesn't mean they made it, it really is. You don't want them to join together. Period. Okay. Now, new issue. Do you have Isa Tchila? In brackets? Okay, that's also a typo. Even though it's brackets. It should be He says here, Be'isa tchila. Can I have the picture again, please? It's only when this one is a tchila. What is tchila? Well, this one is a rishon, right? Rishon l'tumah. Yeah. A rishon. Why? What's if this is a sheni? What? What sheni matame?
No, it's
Nothing. Right, Drew. Now, so what is this now? What is this dough? What is it right now?
What's the ratio? Which you point to?
All of them. What are they? Are they truma? No. Will they become truma?
I don't know you as money. Just taking the money. Why?
Because challah is like truma. So now the shaila is like this. So right now the Yerushalmi is learning that this is really right now it's tevel, and by tevel there's no sheni, right? So the only time it's a chashach they have to put this little ball of dough in the middle, right? Is where this is a rishon. So the rishon can't touch this because it's going to make it a sheni, and there is sheni by chulin. But if this is a sheni, then I don't need the little ball of dough in the middle, right? Because in that case, this not going to be metame this, because the sheni is not oser shlishi by chulin, right? Okay, so it says ve'isa tchila, aval bisa shnia. But if this grain would be a shnia, and the sheni maga until tevel, it's not a problem, right? The touching won't be a problem. Tani Rabbi Loy, so I think it's Leo. Rabbi Loy Amar Bishum Rabbi Lezer, Tormi Minat. Oh, I thought somebody makes it simus out of this. Yeah, right. He brings down that Chachamim argue Rabbi Lezer. Chachamim hold when it says in our Mishnah Chachamim Osrin, right? Chachamim master this. They ask her even if this is a sheni.
That I never owed you money in the first place. So that star that you're showing me, the first star.
Well, it's not in our Mishnah, but it's not. I don't even know if it's a Lut or Mishnah. But they hold that even if he brings down the Chachamim from the whole bunch of Rishonim, that the Chachamim hold that even if this is a sheni, you can't put together. You need this in the middle. Because sheni is also shlishi, again, because he says, chulin hatvulim lechala is kechala dami. Chulin in which there's chala dormant and about to be taken off is like chala. So therefore, even if there's a sheni, it can't be next to the other one, which should be shlishi. Okay? Says Umar, Tani Rabbi Loi b'shem Omar b'shem Rabbi Lezer.
And then only that portion of it, which is going to eventually become challah, should become tamei.
True, but we don't know where it is, so therefore we have to be machmir and also the whole thing. It's like breira and issue. Where is it? And that's the thing. Okay. Says more. Tani Rabbi Loi Amar b'shem Lezer. Tormi min atar lo tamei belach. There's a way to take truma from Torah and tamei by lach, by moist stuff. Now, he says specifically by moist stuff and not by dry stuff, because by dry stuff we're afraid you're going to mix them together. Okay? If it's yavesh, we're afraid that, now they're going to mix them together. I apologize. You're going to do it shalom in amukaf, the Yerushalmi brings down. In other words, by lach, so we assume you're going to put them together. I'm not sure exactly why in retrospect. But by lach, where everything is moist, you're going to put them together in order to be torim, and you're going to take truma min hamukaf. If it's dry, you're not going to take truma min hamukaf.
It's dry, it's crumbly, it's not going to stay together.
Yeah, but as long as it's the same house, it's sufficient. Or the same pot, we care if it's crumbly. I don't know exactly why it's marked like that. Maybe it's not right. Maybe no, but he does bring down for Tosefta. This is down from Tosefta. Tosefta says that Torah told me only works by lach because we're not afraid of Shlomi Namukov, but by Yovesh, for some reason we're. I don't know why there's a difference though. I don't know why. I thought I understood, but now I don't understand. But anyway, how do you do this? Ketzah, Kovash Zeisim B'Tuma. You have olives which are pressed by B'Tuma. For Vakish Torah, we want to take Truma off of them. B'Tara, with something which is going to be made Torah. Maybe Mashpech, you bring a funnel. Shem Efi Kibetza, at the mouth of which is less than a Kibetza. Momali also Zeisim, you put olives into the funnel. Nice now, you put it on top of the barrel which has the Tomei olives.
We have this in the Bible.
Probably did. It sounds familiar. If not, we had in Yerushalmi. But this is the case, right? You have a funnel, and you have here your olives in the press, and then you have your olives here in the funnel, and they're considered now one. And since the circumference of this is less than a kibetza, so the diameter is less than a kibetza, so therefore it's not going to transmit tuma up and down. You can take from these truma on these and consider mina mukaf. Says the Gemara. You know what? That's all very nice. However, lomali pachas mikabetza. Why do I need that this opening should be less than kabetza? Afilu kabetza, even the opening is very broad, the size of kabetza. For lo pirudim inun, aren't the pirurin it says here, but it should be pirurin. Aren't the olives separate and distinct? Each olive is less than a kabetza, so you can't transmit tuma anyway from one to the other, regardless of the size of the funnel. So what's the problem? Forget about the funnel. Just as long as you know which is which. It's
they're packed very close together.
What?
They're packed very close together.
So what?
So it's like one.
Oh, so it's like a kibetza? No, the Gemara doesn't answer that. Maybe they're crushed together. You had this.
Probably, I remember that was one of the answers.
It was one of the answers. It could be. I understand. I'm not sure. I don't remember where it was, but it does sound familiar. But anyway, the Yerushalmi says, very interesting answer, says Shlo Tama Seisim Harbi. When you need a kibetza to transmit to, but the stuff itself becomes tummy.
With less than a kibetza.
Less than kibetza. It doesn't transmit further, but it itself becomes tummy. So if a number of olives can get to the bottom of the funnel, so they're all going to become tummy because of contact with the olives on the bottom, which are tummy. That's why you want a narrow funnel, so only one olive comes into contact with the stuff below, and only that one becomes tummy. Okay? Says Gemara, Amrlo, they said to him, you know what, that's not called lach. That's not a case where we allow this. The only time you have something which is called lach, not olives which are partially pressed. It has to be wine and oil. Hey chavita. So how if that's the case, if it's wine, oil, with lach, how can you do it? How can you put it together and take true challah, or truma meiser, obviously, from one on the other, and not get into the problem of taking truma tomato? I'll tell you, it says more. Hey chavita. You have two presses of grapes, and the same beam goes across them, from press to press. It's considered one press vis-a-vis truma. So it's mina mukaf to take from one press on the other. Okay, despite the fact that one is tummy and one is tar. That's one case. So to shtei koros l'borechot. If you have one bar, one press, but two beams across it, so then also, even though they're separate for two mantara, they're the same. They're the same for mina mukaf, and they're every day from one on the other. So the Gemara asks the obvious question. Now this is not the Gemara at all. He brings down here at the bottom. I understand now. One beam across two different boros, they're separate. Vis-a-vis two mantara, yet the same for mukaf. However, elushtei koros l'borechot, low. But if you have two koros for one bar, that's not going to work. Why it's not going to work? Mikevon. So now going back to more. It's one bar. All the grapes are in one bar. the Tommy and the Torah ones. The Tommy ones are being Matami the Torah ones. How do you have a scenario where the Torah ones remain Torah in that case? So Rabbi Hila B'Shem Rabbi Yossi says, you know what? This is what I meant to say. He wanted to make them one bore. But in the end, when he saw the one became Tommy, he made them two boros. So that's the case where you have two beams, one bore, not literally one bore, because then of course the Tommy ones are Matame, the Torah ones. But you intended to make one bore. Now, even though they're two boros, you could still mean Matar. You could still take off Trumas and Mitzvahs from one on the other. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi B'Raibun. Harder to Tamar Mishanit Kishanit Ma. This is only when the stuff became Tameh. It should be Misha Shila. Once you remove the wine from where it was fermented, from where it was suppressed. When you remove the wine from where it was pressed to put in barrels, when the pits and skins have floated to the top, that there was a time when you could take truma of it when it was tar. When it's Gemar Malacha, it was still tar. At the time Gemar Malacha, when you completed dealing with it, it was as if yet still tar. But if you can't tame before you drew it out or before you removed the refuse, and you can't make a mukaf, you can't be turned from a Torah and tame in that case. Rabbi Tavi and Rabbi Yoshe B'Shem Rabbi Yana said, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, who said they could take truma from Torah and tame by moist, like this case over here. It works. Rabbi Yitzhak Bar Nachman B'Shem Rabbi Yoshe said, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer as well. However, Rabbi Huna B'Shem Rabbi China said, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. It doesn't work. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Huna Rabbi Yehuda B'Shem Shmuel said, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. It doesn't work. Now what do you have here? Asuv the Kumei? It doesn't say about you Rabbi Ami, right? Somehow the Yerushalmi says he knows it's Rabbi Ami. A Maisa came for Rabbi Ami, Flori wouldn't pass it. He said Tarte Kol Kavel, Tarte, the two Kol Kavel Treinun, which are against are two. You have two Amoraim, and Allah's like Rabbi Lezer. So I can pass like Rabbi Lezer. So he said to him, why not? For Rabbi Yitzhak Bar Nachman Moide. Yitzhak Bar Nachman concedes. Those like Rabbi Eliezer, like we said previously. Afilu Kain Lahori, nonetheless you want to paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. They return him in Torah Latome, and he said specifically, we don't have an explicit psak which allows you to do so. Okay? Hajlo Peres Chutzlot. Next parak, third parak. Ochlin Arai Mina Isa. You can eat a snack from the dough, Achatis Galgel, until it's well mixed, literally rolled, mechitin by wheat. With the tamtein, however, by barley, you can only eat snack until it's a little bit mixed. Tamtein literally means clumps together. Because he brings down here, if you mix barley too much, it ruins the dough. By wheat, the more you mix it, the better. By barley, if you mix it too much, it ruins it. So therefore, it's already considered to be tevel vis-a-vis challah at an earlier stage. Okay? Before it's completely blended. What if you did complete the kneading process by wheat or by barley, and then you ate it as a zor? You eat it, you're chayim miso. Now, this is all chatchila. B'di'evet, once you put the water in there, magbas chalos, you can take the challah, even if you haven't thoroughly mixed it yet. As long as there's 5/4. Now 5/4. Pashup shot is that's the shiur for challah. But the Yerushalmi says we already know that that's the shiur for challah. You need 5/4. So he says a very interesting thing. He says that when can you? It says sounds in the way for the Gemara as well. When can you take challah off the mixture, even if all you did was add water and not yet mixed? only if there aren't 5/4 left of complete powder. But it's mixed enough, at least, that there isn't 5/4 left, which is complete powder. But if there's 5/4 left, which is completely powder, so then that's not considered mixed. Because you have shiur of challah, which itself it's not susceptible to challah in this case. So in that case, I say it's not considered mixed, and therefore you cannot. What? You can't take off challah. Only on Raimi now Isa. Says more further. You can eat a snack. Right. That's true. Snack. Avokva osir. But before it's needed, don't think you can eat a permanent meal. Because that would be a ruse in order to examine the challah, and we frown upon that. Rabbi Yisrael said, if you want to learn from our Mishnah, can't learn anything from our Mishnah. Because our Mishnah, maybe it's different. Maybe our Mishnah, all it's saying is you're allowed to, Shafiu not to be mena, Shtayim Sholosh Mikrotzos, maybe our Mishnah specifically talking about snacks. As in our Mishnah, even you take 2 or 3 handfuls, became Shosi Lachzir L'Davar Shaloning Ramalachto, since your intent is to take whatever you don't finish and put it back into the pot which is not completely fermented or baked yet. So mutter, it's okay. So that one can't be the case which tells you anything about Chilas Keva. About Permin, Rabbi Yisrael Razir, Rabbi Lesser. Av Masha Belagin Lo Nitpa, it's the case we had white wine. Also that which is in a tasting spoon doesn't become tameh, doesn't become tevel. You can still snack it. Because you're going to pour it back into the rest of the stuff which is not completed, which is in the pit. Rather, here should be Vahaida Amrada. What teaches us? That you're not allowed to eat permanently from it until the challah is taken off. The following halach, which says, it says somebody who can't make somebody who can't make his grain betara, then he should make it into small batches, right? The only time I can make the small batches is because you have no other choice. But if you can save it if you can make it Torah, you're not allowed to make it in small batches, right? Hadar, if you can take it to 4 meal away, you're not allowed to make it in small batches. Hadar Marah, this teaches us, a person is not allowed to make his Esau into small measures, right? Because he's being mafkia it from challah. The same thing is true, says the Gemara, by eating achilas keva. Why? Because achilas keva, what are you doing ultimately? You're exempting your stuff from challah. So therefore it's forbidden. You're diminishing the amount of challah. And therefore that's not permitted. Okay? So our Mishnah doesn't really indicate now allowed to eat achilas keva. Right? It says you're allowed to eat achilas arai, but it doesn't say explicitly you're not allowed to eat achilas keva. But by virtue of the fact that we see we're concerned always with the amount of challah which goes to the kohanim, from this we deduce that you can't eat achilas keva. And achilas arai obviously must be a unique and special dispensation. Okay, let's stop here for today. We'll come here tomorrow.